Isn't it great when you have a first date and everything goes to plan? How the hell do you create that? Because situations like that aren't actually that natural. We tend to think that they should be this, fuck, it's so windy. I'm gonna still go. We tend to think that it should be this crazy romantic thing that you meet the guy and it just works out. But like, let me ask you this, like how many bad dates have you been on when it hasn't actually been the guy, but it's been the situation? So what I want to give to you today is my simple strategy of, I hate the word simple, but it is very simple, the simple strategy on how to structure your date so that way you don't actually have to worry about it going crazy. And I did make a video about this before. I made a video about awkward dates, and you can click on that here, or like I'll have a little thing below if you're on mobile. But this isn't about awkward dates, this is about the perfect date. So in that video, I discussed a two-part structure. The first part was just casual drinks, something that's very chill, there's no expectations. And in that case, you actually have the room to remove yourself if it's an awkward date. Now, the second part is what's important, because if it's an awkward date, you can remove yourself, right? But if it isn't an awkward date, then you have the room for romance. Then you have the room to move yourself into, like, maybe go for drinks. Maybe you can show him that's something that's part of your personality, like one of your favorite bars. Or maybe he can show you something about himself that he hasn't shown someone else. I believe that planning the first date is incredibly important, because if you don't plan it, then you're kind of saying, hey, I don't actually care about you. And you're actually saying that, hey, I didn't think this far ahead because I don't think this relationship is gonna go far ahead. So little things like having dates during the day, having dates that you would with a friend are all bad, and I've made a video about that as well. Start the date at 8 p.m. Why you started at 8 p.m. is because anything before that could potentially be a meal, and you don't want the first stage of the date to be very high pressure. You want it to be even in a place where you probably sit side by side, where you can get to know each other a bit more. You want to kind of give the date as much room for it to potentially grow as possible. And you might be thinking like, you're planning this too much, like why can't it just be spontaneous? Sometimes you have to plan things to allow them to be spontaneous. Flexibility is great, but an underlying structure is also incredibly important. You wouldn't go to a business meeting without actually having a plan. And I'm not saying that dates are like business meetings, but I'm saying that mindset that you do plan things actually is important. So again, you meet at 8 p.m. and you go for drinks. You want to kind of have that stage potentially finish around 9 or 10, because if that's just the first date and you have to go to work the next day, that's okay. Like 1 or 2 drinks is pretty good. And you get to know each other, you get to feel more comfortable around each other, and you get to actually see in that stage if he's the kind of guy that you want to actually get to know. Because you don't even know at that point. Why would you go for dinner with someone you don't actually know? That's the funny thing, right? If you do have more time, that's when you can go for the second part of the date. And that's where you might show him something really cool about yourself. You might take him to your favorite bar or favorite night spot. You know, I once went on a date with a girl where we just literally wandered around the city and we were showing each other not necessarily like favorite places, but like little details about the city that we like little statues or little parts of the statues. And that was really great because I got a chance to actually see who she was. And that was the unstructured, unplanned bit. But for that to happen, you actually have to have that first part where you do meet up, where you do have drinks and all that kind of stuff. Again, like, don't have any expectations. Again, like I always say this, where you can't assume that anything is gonna happen, because nothing will actually go your way. If you assume things happen, they probably don't. All you can do is just plan for the best. You actually get ready for that mentally, but if it turns out he's not a really cool guy, then you actually have that room to remove yourself. Anyway, this is this video. If you like it, press the little like button below. Make sure to subscribe for more videos about life and love and how the two come together. Mwah.